What is going on, guys? It's me, Richard, here from Bearded Bricks. This week we're going to talk about another Brickmania set. This week it is the German World War I bomber, the Gotha IV. Now, I do want to start off by saying that Brickmania does not supply me with any of this. I will include the link for the instructions and the stickers down below. I've had to purchase this all myself. Don't forget, guys, if you like these videos, give them a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification. I'll let you know that anytime I post a video. Now let's get into the history of the World War I bomber, the Gotha. In November 1916, Gotha Wagon Fabric, which I'm almost positive I screwed that name up, received a production order for 35 aircraft. This subsequently increased to 50 in February 1917. A further 80 aircraft were ordered from the SSW and 100 from the LVG. Compared to the Gotha aircraft, these license-built aircraft were slightly heavier and slower because ID flag specified the use of strengthened airframe. To counteract this, SSW built a number of highly modified examples, including one driven by a tractor engine instead of a pusher engine. Late production SSW Gotha IVs also usually incorporated the Stoss auxiliary nose wheels and Flettner servo tabs developed for the Gotha. Responding to a different problem, the LVG overcame the tail heaviness of its machines by increasing the sweep back of the wings. Late production by SSW and LVG became obsolete, hence many aircraft were finished as trainers with lower performance engines. The SSW built trainers, relocated fuel tanks from the engine nozzles to within the fuselage, and had something called a Gotha tunnel. The Gotha tunnel allowed the dorsal gun to fire through the fuselage at targets below and behind the bomber. A ventral 7.92mm machine gun would still be mounted, and there were provisions for a fourth machine gun on a post between the pilot's and bombarder's cockpits, although this was rarely carried due to the weight penalty. Now, when it comes to this plane, there is not very much knowledge of this. It was World War I. It was a time where all of this stuff was extremely new. Flight had been invented not very long before this. One of the cool things I do like about this plane, though, is just the iconic look of it. The double wing is always one of those planes that just stick out for me. Now, with this build, it's actually rather simple. You start by piecing together the fuselage and working your way back towards the stabilizers, and this is all built with mostly plates and some brackets and tiles. The addition of the dark green tiles right here and the stickers just kind of really make the thing pop and make it look not so boring with just the dark bluish gray. I am a huge sucker for these sets having stickers. I believe that it breaks up the color, shows a lot of detail, and just really adds things that are highly needed in certain areas like this. This would look really boring right here if there was no stickers and it was just like a green blob. The stickers add a lot of detail to it, including the iron crosses all over the plane. I think they've done a really good job with that. Now, when you get back to the stabilizers, it's actually the first thing that you're going to do in the build where you wrap them in fabric. Now, this is actually a really neat design. You pretty much just build a base out of plates and tiles and wrap it in this fabric, and then there's a stud portion where it allows you to connect. It's kind of like got a hole through it and allows you to connect to the stud poking through to create kind of the lockdown for it so it doesn't move. It does give it that seamless look, and I think it looks so much nicer. You do continue that up here on the wings. These wings are just really plates, tiles, and slopes kind of built to give it that curved look, and then you attach the fabric to it. The fabric is attached by underneath using the support rods. It kind of holds it into place and not let it slide anywhere, which is another real cool thing that it does to kind of support the wings. I mean, these things are pretty sturdy. You can tell as I bend them, they don't cave in at all. You can feel the plates underneath them move, but the wings themselves do not try to bend in on each other. If you are thinking about building this plane and not getting the fabric, I would highly just go against that. I wouldn't do it. It looks really, really weird under here. It is not built to where it's not built for not having the fabric on it. It is definitely built for the fabric to be wrapped around it. It's just going to look like it's a couple tiles and it's a bunch of kind of blank areas, and it's not going to look good. If you think you could do this and kind of create it with Lego pieces to make it look flat using tiles and slopes, that might not be a bad idea, but the money you're going to spend on Lego pieces, you should have just bought this anyway. The wingspan is absolutely massive on this. It's one of the things that drew me to this set. It is almost about 3 inches smaller than the bomber, which is, it gives it a lot more kind of look, because you know the bomber is massive right here. The fuselage and everything is just so big, but these wings are just kind of carry this little plane so well. One of the other cool additions they have is the flaps do work on this plane. The rear does not, but if you look at the videos and everything I put, the rear doesn't move in this. It is used just for the stabilizing to hold up the back in flight. I will tell you that one of the coolest things about this set is the strings in the middle. A lot of these sets that you build from Brickmania kind of have you to get weird pieces in them, those being one of them, and I really didn't think they did anything, but I will tell you that the strings really do hold support on this, and it really does kind of bend it to give it that curved look that you see right here. Now, while building these, when it comes to these support rods are a little tedious, especially the ones on top of the engines up here. They are not very easy to get to. It's a little bit difficult if you got some fat hands like me, but it is kind of worth it. I mean, you don't connect them at the top, you're just kind of pushing them in and bending them upward, but it really does look good. Now, when it comes to the one on the cockpit right here, you are connecting these. It kind of holds the support at the top of the cockpit to the plane design. One of the other things about this is it is a bomber, so it does have guns on it, but if you look right here in the front, all these bombs, you just simply pick it up and lean it forward, and they all fall out, which is how the plane worked in real life. You got to think this plane was designed way before they had all the levers and actions and motors and everything in planes like they did in World War II. There really was a huge advancement in military aircraft between this and World War II, and you really do see it. It really does give you a kind of visual and I guess, look into how they came up with the things they did. One of the other really cool things about this plane is, like I was talking about in the history, it actually has a hole through the back of it, and what this hole is for, it allows you as the rear gunner to fire actually through the plane. If you turn the plane around, you can see the hole in the bottom. It allows you to shoot underneath you and behind you as well. That is extremely cool to me. That is something that I would have never thought of. You know, in World War II, when all the planes have rear guns, if something's underneath you, you really can't get to it. Now, the difference between this and the older plane, this and the newer planes, I'm not really sure what they have back there that allows you not to be able to do that, but it is crazy to think about that they came up with that design in early ages such as 1917 like that. Now, there are 6 brick arms pieces that you have to get in this. It is for the front gun and the rear gun. It is both guns, both barrels, and both ammo boxes. They are the maximum air barrel. Then you'll need 2 of the MG08 receivers, 1 MG08 barrel, and 2 MG08 drum magazines. All in all, this was a really fun build. It is kind of rather simple. The instructions for this are the normal $10, but the stickers and panels for up top with all the fabric are $30, but believe me, it is worth it. It does come with the fabric to wrap both top wings, both bottom wings, and both rear stabilizers. This set does use a total of 864 Lego pieces and is considered a 4 out of 5 difficulty on their scale, but when sitting this on a shelf, it is really cool looking aircraft, and it's crazy to think that this is where the big bombers like the B-17 kind of originated from. Now, one thing I don't think I've ever mentioned before, when it comes to these Brickmania sets, when you pull up the instructions or the parts list, it'll tell you sometimes that you have to buy like helmets or aviator caps and goggles. Sometimes it gives you a little bit of random weapons, and what those are for the figs. You can all go buy the stickers for the figurines for these things, and you just kind of sticker over Lego pieces, which I've said before. I will have another video about that a little later. I have to wait on some more torsos and some more legs to get here for the video to actually be worth doing, and me just not doing like 1 or 2 of them. But in this set was the weirdest thing I've ordered so far. I ordered a slingshot. I did not understand why it came with the slingshot or why it required one, but if you look up the history of this plane, one of the cool things is if you were the back gunner and you ran out of ammo, or even if you just wanted to use this, you had a slingshot to shoot projectiles at other planes. Now that might sound crazy, but you got to think back then there wasn't too much invented as in warfare like we have now. You had bombs and you had guns, yes, but they didn't carry like they did these days. Or even in World War II, where some of these planes had thousands of rounds on them, you couldn't fit thousands of rounds on these planes, and they couldn't hold the weight of them while it was in the air. So you had to get really inventive on how to kind of handle the warfare that you were in. But I would like to thank y'all for watching. Remember, like the video, subscribe down below. Come back and see us next week for our next review. Peace.